Hello crafters and welcome to today's Spa Sweethearts craft group. We are going to be drawing with thread, which can also be called embroidery. And we're really going to be looking first of all at just using simple backstitch. We've been doing calligraphy, we've been doing prick and stitch, and putting them together we're going to end up with this kind of thing. What do we need? We're going to need some material for this, and I'm just going to have a word about the types of material that we can use. So I have done it onto calico, which, as I've mentioned before, is the cheapest type of material and is just plain. Okay, so that works really well, and it will work well for my demonstrations for you because it's nice and easy to see. But it doesn't have to be a pale colour. You can equally well do it on a dark colour. I'm going to show you another one of those later on. You could also go crazy and do it on a silvery one like that. Lovely for Christmas. You can also do it on a coloured background where you've got these things like that, and you can just work out what you're going to put your cat onto a background or put your flower onto a background or whatever. You can use any kind of material for this sort of thing. It doesn't matter whether it's polyester or cotton. You can just find something for you to do. So these ones are on plain material, but it does look good as well if you do it onto a piece of coloured material. And the this, oh, hang on, which one shall I show you? If we're going to go Christmassy, let's have a look at this one. That is doing it on a dark piece of material. Okay, so as well as our material, that we need one of these choices of material, you're going to need a needle, and you're going to need a pointy needle this time. Not a tapestry needle where it's blunt, but quite a sharp pointy needle. At my age now, I like a nice big eye on my needle, but that's up to you. You're going to need a pencil, nice and sharp. You're going to need some scissors. I've got cute little embroidery scissors and they're handy, but actually any scissors would do. And you're going to need some thread. Now, if the only thread you've got is this kind of cotton, absolutely fine, I'll show you how to do that later. But really this should be done with embroidery cotton. If you are not crafty and you know somebody who's crafty, go and ask them because they'll have thousands of them all over the place. Lots of people do. But this is the kind of thing, and you can actually buy them really cheaply. So you can have, they're cotton or they're silk, and it really doesn't matter. The silk flows through a little bit more easily, but the cotton is cheaper and looks really nice as well. It doesn't matter, in a variety of colours. So you've got them all like this, and you will need to cut a piece off that you want. When you cut off your thread, a lot of mine are like this on, because once you've got a few things left over from here, they end up on these things. But you need to pull off a length of thread and then separate them into the number of threads that you want. And I did that in an earlier video. Go back and look at the prick and stitch and I show you how to do that. You need a fairly long thread, slightly longer than the prick and stitch for this one. In order to achieve this effect, you need to use 2 threads. So that's what I've got with that, a slightly thicker one with 2 threads. If you're using this, or if you want a thinner kind of line, you can just use 1 thread, which I will show you in a minute. So the other thing we've got here is this embroidery hoop. Embroidery hoops are not necessary. You can use an embroidery hoop, and it's easier for me to keep picking this up for you to show you like this. But I did these ones without an embroidery hoop. Totally on these little bits, they wouldn't go in a hoop anyway. So you're just going to scrunch it up if you do that, but it's not necessary. If you've got an embroidery hoop, absolutely use one. If you don't have an embroidery hoop, you can do this just as well without. Don't worry, that's not an essential piece of kit. If you do have an embroidery hoop, I'm just going to show you how to use it before we change to the top down so that you can see a bit closer. So you've got your hoop and you put it down like this. Now the hoops are in 2 halves. One of them has this little clampy thing at the top and one of them doesn't. The one that doesn't goes on the bottom. Then you get your piece of material. Imagine this piece of material has actually got nothing on it at the moment. And you would put it down where you want it, so you've got enough even all the way around so that it feels happy. And then this at the top, you need to put it on top, push that one over and pull it taut. Now I had that the right size, obviously, so I don't need to mess about with this, but this tightens it up. Turn it one way and it'll open it up so you can get to it. turn it the other way and it'll tighten it together. But it shouldn't be so tight that you can't also flip it off like I just did quite easily. I also find that you do need to pull your material taut every so often. The more you're fiddling with it as you sew, especially if you do a big project, it will keep dropping and you will need to keep pulling it tight all the way around, and that's no problem. Lots of people think that once you've got it on your hoop, it's on forever. Like some of the more complicated embroidery things where you're like that. This is simple introduction to embroidery and it's fine, you can keep flipping it on and off. I don't have that many hoops, so I have been flipping them on and off for lots of different projects for you, and that's fine. So we need to draw our design and you need to decide what you're going to do. So this is one that's going to be for our, going to be the centrepiece of our 10th anniversary at Spa Sweethearts this year. So I've written and I've drawn a few things on there. You could just do a tiny little plant if you're wanting to do that like that. Or you could draw yourself a picture, as I have done here. And I will close up at the end all of these in their finished state so that you can zoom in and have a look at those pictures and see the different ones. And today I'm going to show you just simple backstitch, which will make these designs. So I'm just going to take you stage by stage through doing a very simple one like this. So we're going to take our material and draw ourselves this simple cactus. So the base is just an oblong, and then you're going to do your circle around it, your circular shape I suppose, some spikes sticking out and a couple of stripes. And then thread up your needle with two threads of embroidery thread is making quite a nice thickness and a knot on the end. And I'm going to start in this bottom corner of the pot here. Now if you're in a hoop and you're doing this, it will all be nice and taut and you will be pushing it up and it'll be all kind of bouncy. But you don't need that. You can also do it like this, okay? So it doesn't matter if you're scrunching it up, you can always iron it afterwards. So we're coming up in the bottom corner there, and you're going to pull it as far as you can so that the knot is hitting against the back there. We're then going to go down approximately 1/4 centimetre along. Now I'm going to bring this up because this is the important thing here. Can you see how I'm going in there? About the same distance as that, upwards. And then I'm going to pull. And then I'm going back in the same hole there. Okay, and so the same thing again. I'm going to come up here, which is now the corner of my pot, and I'm going to go up like that and down back into there. When you get more confident, you might feel able to go in and out like this. So you're going in and then along and pulling it. Oh, it's getting caught around. You do have to sometimes be careful that it doesn't do that. I'll just do that again for you. So you see how that's coming along like that? And I'm pulling it all the way through, and that speeds it up. But if you're using a hoop and you can't do that, or if you just want to take it nice and slowly and carefully because you're at the beginning, then you can just carry on. I'm just going to show you something you don't want to do, and that's that. Look, it's all wrinkled up and horrible. Okay, don't do that. Keep it nice and smooth, keep it nice and light. If you're a knitter or a crocheter, it's the same thing. No pulling things tight. Just make sure that you are keeping an even, nice, neat tension as you go along. Don't be afraid if you go like this. Oh no, I've gone completely wrong. I didn't mean it to be there. I meant it to be here. Shall I go back in there? Oh no, now I've gone totally wrong and my line's in the completely wrong place. Don't be afraid to just pull it out again. Pull it out like that. Pull it out from the back. Rethread your needle and pick it back up again as you go round. You do exactly the same thing going around. When you've got to the end of your pink pot, tie a knot, swap to your green. It's just the same going around the curve, nice and slowly. And you could do these lines and these lines in a different shade of green if you like. And that will give you your lovely little picture of a cactus like that. It's exactly the same way if you want to write. So this is our Spa Sweethearts one from earlier, and I've written 10 years there following our calligraphy rules from last week and just begun to do that. Don't worry about being perfectly straight. It's supposed to look like something that's been drawn. Okay, and you would just go around that. There are a few extra stitches hiding in here. This is satin stitch, and there's a daisy stitch and some French knots. But we're going to stick this week just with all the hundreds of things we can achieve with Backstitch, just using it to draw over some lines that we've done that look really, really nice. Don't be tempted to make your stitches too long to try and speed. Sewing isn't that quick. You need to do things slowly. So I hope you feel confident there with the Backstitch. So we're going up and down and making that on. This is all that you can achieve with Backstitch. There are a few other stitches on this one which we're going to come back to in a later video. But all of this is Backstitch, and you really just need to practice that. Don't be afraid to pull it out if you've gone in the wrong space. The material is quite forgiving. It will leave a hole. The hole won't still be there. You can still go round and just have a little go at writing. Don't start with something enormous. Start with something really small so that you could have a go, like that little cactus that we did like that. Just something really small, which we will go through at the Zoom if you are feeling like you need a bit more help. This one has been done with using just one thread. So if this is all the kind of thread you've got, using a thinner one, and has this lovely drawn effect on there. It's not all flowers and cactuses. You could draw a street scene as well like that. This has made a really nice pattern, and this is where I've used the frame, the hoop as a frame as well. Obviously this means I won't have this hoop anymore once it's gone, but I've written the names on there and a nice little reminder of our year that we've had and the particular things of 2020. So that's got some different pictures. There is a slightly different stitch here, which again we'll go through another time. Just showing you a few other things that you can do with this. You could turn them into cards, and I was thinking it might be nice to have the actual address here if it was going to somebody, or the names of people in there. Christmas is on my mind in the crafting world now. So there I've used white on there, and there is so simple, totally simple idea of that. If you remember a few weeks ago we did flower bashing, and we ended up with our picture there. This one looked really quite weak beforehand. You couldn't really see the picture, and I've gone around the edge of it now in a Backstitch, and I've put the middles on here, and it's just added a little bit of extra to it so you can see. You can go totally crazy and come up with a whole cushion. Okay, with that drawn, using mostly Backstitch and a few other sorts of things added in there, you've ended up with something that's really amazing. But start with Backstitch, don't go mad. Embroidery has lots of things to learn. So if you start with Backstitch, not cross stitch, we'll build up to that, Backstitch, and you do some writing and draw something simple like a heart, practice that first, and that will be really, really good. We will be working our way up to making a needle case by adding a few extra things, and we will be looking at some other kind of stitches as well. But to start with, you can just have a go at some Backstitch and doing some nice simple design. And I will see you, and we will for some more embroidery drawing with thread soon. Enjoy! So here is just a closer up version of the drawing and some simple writing to show you how effective all of that can be. I hope you enjoy it.